All right, so we're going to be talking about homeschooling in just a little while because, back in March, the COVID-19 pandemic forced the closure of schools. And Empress and I, we were speaking earlier about how difficult it would be for some families who just don't have internet connection. And I remember, and I'm repeating myself because I've said this a few times, I remember the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Mr. Speed, who said only 30% of the students were being taught online. And as I said, if it's even 70%, you still have 30% who they haven't done anything since March. And I'm still wondering what will happen come September when you have some kids obviously were being taught all the way through and would have gone through the curriculum. And then some wouldn't have done anything. So how do you catch them, put everybody back together? That's not going to be easy.
Well, you just have to have an individual approach. Each, child has to be assessed coming into September as to where they are, and then a plan, a learning plan.
What would be the benefits for you as a parent, whether benefits of either homeschooling or sending your kids to school? If you had an opportunity to say everything is normal, them can go to school if they want, would you rather homeschool them?
Nope.
Why?
I am a working mom.
Okay.
It is extremely hard to work at home and manage your child at the same time with homeschooling. It's a choice you have to make, and it means you're going to have to give up other parts of your business and career if you're the person. Because if my child is going to be homeschooled, it is me or the father that is going to have to manage a child. And it's hard when you're a working couple.
If you bring someone in,
To
I
teach.
have a child, suppose
That's a
I
good
bring
idea.
Clive in to teach, is that homeschooling?
Yes, it is.
That is homeschooling.
Your
because
child is
you're
learning at home. And I noticed a couple schools coming up or groups who are, 3 or 4 children,
Yeah, man.
educators who are saying, okay, I'm going to do an intimate 3 or 4 population school. And I think that's a good idea.
You kind of get the feeling that, as Empress said, all things being equal, if you had the opportunity to homeschool, you get the feeling it would be better because obviously less kids than the 40 in our class.
I think, and you can decide how to shape the curriculum to give your child what you want, such as financial literacy,
Yes, ma'am.
an African-centered cultural type of education that when you're in the classroom, you have no idea what the teachers are saying. You get these books with all these images.
But you can't move away from the curriculum, though.
No, you don't have to run from the curriculum. But for example, you have books in some of these schools, and I've been there, and it's like the books have European images in it. And you're raising a Jamaican African child or of African descent, and there are ways that you could change the way that the curriculum is delivered.
All right.
And you can change the format. So you can decide how to deliver the lesson. For example, look at what Renee Rattray and the team are doing with dancehall education, using music.
I accept that. Final thing, because we're going to go to the interview. Final thing I want to say about that. I accept that. But I'm just suggesting that sooner or later, that same child will have to do a CSEC or a CAPE. And if you move away from the curriculum...
No, you don't move away. You deliver it in a completely different way. And then you also insert life skills and other lessons in that curriculum, which is probably not a part of the general curriculum.
All right, folks. So back in March, as we said, the COVID-19 pandemic forced the closure of schools. Now with schools on summer holiday, some parents are still wondering if they should be homeschooling their kids. Here to talk us through whether this is a better option, as we were speaking just now, and how to actually start the process, we have on Zoom President of the Jamaica Association of Homeschoolers, Mr. Shane Panton. Morning, Mr. Panton. How are you, sir?
Hi, good morning. I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it's our pleasure. I'm hardly hearing, so if maybe our guys could punch you up just a bit. I don't know if you were listening to our discussion?
I heard bits of it before in terms of the challenges that parents are having.
First thing, the Association of Homeschoolers, you guys were around before this pandemic?
Definitely. We started in 2003.
And your role would be what?
Go again?
Your role overall, the association's role would be what?
Right. So the main purpose is for us to support families who are homeschooling. So persons who are transitioning from the the standard schooling arrangement, and the need support, need guidance, need anything that they need. We're here to provide that support.
Let me ask you, is your membership growing? Good morning, Shane. Is your membership growing since the COVID-19 lockdown of schools?
Definitely. We have been receiving inquiries on a maybe daily or weekly basis as persons, as you rightly said, are fearful where COVID is concerned and looking for options that can help them to keep their children safe while still ensuring that they receive the quality education that they deserve.
What are the guidelines for somebody who wants to homeschool? Where do we see, well, we would come to you, I'm sure, but where do we find the guidelines and what's different? Homeschooling versus in the classroom?
Okay, well, in terms of guidelines, it is really the Ministry of Education that we rely on for those guidelines. And there's a unit within the ministry, the independent unit, actually manages the whole homeschool affair. Now, in terms of getting started, of course, there's an application process where they ask you a number of different questions about how you intend to deliver the material, what resources you intend to use. And the long and short is that it gives you a picture of what you're signing up for. So, going into the process, you get an idea of where your personal shortcomings are, if you are the person delivering the content, or if you need to employ a tutor to cover certain material. So
Shane,
that yes.
Yeah, the ministry is or has said that when school restarts, some days or some kids will learn from home, and while others are at school, and vice versa. I don't know if that is part of homeschooling, even though because they'll be at home, but that's not homeschooling, is it?
That we call in the homeschool community, we call what has been happening since COVID, school at home. It is an attempt to put the regular operation, school operation, into the home environment. Homeschooling is a tad bit different in that it's really centered around the child. Imagine you're coming down from a teacher trying to manage a classroom of 20, 30, or whatever number of children, to just a parent managing their own child. That's a totally different experience.
Yeah, I asked the question, sorry to jump in, Shane, but I asked the question because I wanted to find out if you are involved in that. Would your association would be involved in that, or you're just homeschooling?
Right, so we are just homeschool.
Okay. What do you feel about the kids learning from home, though? A personal opinion here, but what do you feel about that?
Well, it's clearly absolutely necessary based on the circumstances we're facing as a nation, as the entire world at this point. So my only issue is that how it is being implemented will have it drives fear, as we have seen in the minds of the parents, and there's a bit of confusion because, as I said, doing homeschooling, everything is totally different. It's centered around the child and the needs of the family. So it's not that you have to get up at 7 o'clock per se every single day to start school at 8 and run for 3 or 4 hours. You can decide how you structure the day. Learning takes place at any point in time. It could be at dinner time, during meal prep, whatever it is, a trip to the supermarket. That all of that is learning for a homeschool family.
All right, thanks,
Shane,
friend.
Yeah, thank you. And I have to ask, how do we contact you if we need more information and support?
Okay, for sure. Well, our main telephone line is 884-4944. You can reach us via email at jamaicahomeschoolers@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook at Homeschool Jamaica, and also on Instagram, Jamaica Homeschoolers.
All right, thanks a lot, Shane, and stay safe, all right?
Thank you.
Shane
All the
Panton,
best.
President of the Jamaica Association of Homeschoolers.
I like that. Teaching during mealtime, wake up 1 in the morning and
It's an advantage, isn't
do
it?
class. Don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. It's sounding like I may be heading there.
It's an advantage.
Finding a job during COVID-19, how realistic is this? We will discuss it on the other side of the break. We'll soon come.